Alright, welcome everybody, New Joker 6 here, and today we're gonna continue a little bit on the Warframe for Beginners series, as we did get a question and a video request on one of our videos. So, Rustrad74 asked, "Been looking for this video, thanks, understand a little more. Have you or could you make a video explaining for dummies the basics of how to choose between modding for crit, status, or damage on any given weapon? The how and why without too much math?" Well, yes we can. We will do our best to go over this and try not to put too much math in this while trying to keep things as basic as possible to let you know exactly how you're going to do this. So, let's go ahead and hop on over to a website called Warframe Builder, or warframe-builder.com. I'll leave a link in the description. Here we are. I highly recommend this website for anyone that's just learning how, or anyone that wants to take a look at what they can expect before having to put any forma or anything into it. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Enkairos Prime build I quickly threw together for somebody. I want to say in less than 5 minutes. The build is right here. And this is what I threw together, not knowing what the person had, so I was assuming they had these mods because they have been playing for a while. Now if you were to look, we're going to proc that Berserker 3 times, pretty simple. We're up to 2.6. If you wanted to channel, you're up to 3.9. And this is what's great, because you can take a look at the approximate numbers and all that with proccing Berserker and what your combo multiplier will be. It's essentially doing all the math for you. Do the channeling. This is based on if you're getting a crit. So it's doing all of that for you, which is very nice. So if we just go straight back, here's what we're looking at. Now, to answer your question and go into about how you're going to be modding, let's first base this off of melee weapons. Okay, so if we take a look at a blank one, so first thing you do with a melee weapon is you're going to put a stance on it. Now, what stance you're going to put on it, of course, is going to be based on whatever the polarity is, which in this case, Fracturing Wind is matching it, which is excellent, because this, unlike mods that take away capacity, a stance is going to add capacity. So go ahead and put whatever one matches in there. If you want to change it later, you can put a forma in if you want to use a different stance that doesn't match. Go ahead and rank that up all the way, and as you see with Fracturing Wind and a Catalyst, that's going to give us a total of 70 to work with. So the first thing you're going to put on any weapon is going to be Pressure Point. Whether it's primed or regular, it doesn't really matter. For this case, since you might be new by the time you get this, or you might have some of these mods, you might be waiting for Borrow Katir to come around, whichever, so we're just going to use the regular mods as opposed to the primes that you saw in here. So we're going to put in Pressure Point. Okay, now that is going to boost up our damage no matter what. So that's the first thing you're going to put on. Okay, and now we can take a look at it. We can see that it is 20% crit, 15% status. So the rule I like to follow is 15% or higher, it's okay to build for. But if it's lower than 15, maybe not so much. And that's just a general rule for all weapons. Now, sometimes you might have like 20% crit, 20% status. In which case, you could go for something like a critical status, which is what I go with my Dread. Anyway, back to this. We're taking a look. 20% crit, 2.0 times multiplier. So in this example, I do believe I built for crit on this. So we're going to take a look. Impact. This is primarily impact out of the 3 types. So if we were to put in, say, something to get 10% slash damage, we're only going to get 1.5 added. But if it was 10% impact, we'd get 7. So taking a look at these 3 when you're adding damage is important to note because that can make a difference in the overall. Now, what is it? Is it heavy trauma? Is impact damage. So since this is primarily impact, that's what we're going to add. Throw that down there. And there we go. Right off the bat, we've just about doubled our impact damage. We probably doubled it completely now between these two mods, yeah. So right off the bat, we're looking at around, really, you're quiet this whole time and now you're going to fly over. Whoa, don't want to highlight that much. So right off the bat, we're looking at around 200 for DPS. Not, I mean, it's, if you're just starting, if you only put like 2 mods on, maybe you start like a Mercury or something. But then we can take a look at that crit. So we're going to want that crit damage, which is going to be Organ Shatter, another simple mod you can get early on. Boom, now we're up to 3.8 times. Now, so, since it is crit, you can add things like Berserker, since that is going to speed up your weapon every time you get a crit, but only up to 3 times, I do believe, capping out at 75%. So to go 30, 60, 75 if I'm not mistaken. Something else you could put in there is Fury. Primed preferably, but of course, if you don't have that, you're going to have to just use regular. Just putting those in, we've almost we're getting close to doubling the DPS just by putting in a little bit of speed. So if we're to take a look over here, we got another mod called Collision Force, which is also impact, which you do get from Borrow Katir, which you may or may not have, which is a shame because that's another 120% impact. You see, we just went from 300 to 500. We just gained like another 200%, another 200 in estimated DPS. That is a huge difference. And then all we're missing is elementals because we want to get that damage in there. Elementals, if you have the room for them, put them on. They can make a significant why did I type elemental? They can make a significant difference. So we're looking at 544 here. And let's see, if we just put in our elementals. Corrosive, personally, is what I feel is the best elemental combo. So we're going to go corrosive. And look at that, we just went from 500 up to 900. And then if our Berserk were to proc all 3 times, which at a 20%, it should proc fairly often. Boom. That's 1600. And 2.5 is very easy to get. Boom, 4000. An approximate 4000 DPS is what you'd be looking at with this weapon. So going over that again, the first thing you put on a melee weapon, throw on your pressure point. And then take a look. See what you have is higher. In this case, impact. So we're going to put on mods that increase impact damage, such as heavy trauma and collision force. Just going to move that up there. Alright. And then we're going to take a look. It is a crit, so we're going to add more crit damage. And then you could add more crit chance, but personally I don't feel like it needs it, especially if you're going to be moving at a fire rate of 2.9. You're almost swinging 3 times a second. So it's not really needed. If you can get the speed out, there's a higher chance of getting that crit to proc within X amount of time. So right there you have your pressure point, you have your crit damage, because we're going off crit, and you have your impact to get as much damage as you can out of that. So that would leave you with 4 spots here open. Go ahead, throw your elemental on, and you could put your speed on. Now, if you did not want Berserker, something you could go, which could get you red crits, is Blood Rush. Now, Blood Rush can just about put anything onto any melee weapon into a crit. So if you just putting that on, we're looking at 102.5% like that. 53% right from the start. So, like I said, this can pretty much make any melee weapon into a crit. But as you see, you would need to put Format into this because that is a little too short. Personally, if you didn't want to put Berserker in there, I would go with either a body count or a drifting contact. Because drifting contact does take less room, less space than body count, and it's a 2-second difference, and this gives you a plus 40% status chance. Which means you're up to 21%. It's almost a 1 in 4 chance of proccing something, such as Corrosive, which will lower the armor, making your job a lot easier. Okay. Let's take a look at the primary. Now, since this is a shotgun, isn't it? Yes, it is. So, since normally you do put on Serration, but shotguns cannot use Serration, so the shotgun equivalent is Point Blank. So, you're going to put on Point Blank. And then, again, you're going to go back and take a look at if any multi-shot mods that you have and throw those on, which I guess this wasn't the best one to select. So we'll go ahead and grab another primary since they are slightly different with that. Let's get the Rock to Cernos. Duration is the first thing you put on, followed by your multi-shot. And that's how you're going to start. Those are the first things you put on. Take a look at your stats. You're mostly impact. So you can take a look at any impact mods you have and throw those on. We can take a look at the stats. We're up to 35% crit because this multi-shot does help boost those stats. I see the crit doesn't change that much, but the status probability does go up a bit. So this is a primarily crit. So you're going to go crit, and you can put your crit mods on. You can go ahead and grab your Point Strike, Vital Sense, and then whatever other mods you want to put on, such as your elementals that you could put here, or if you have any other crit mods. One that you could get is it's not sharpened, is it? I'm completely herp derping. And I'm really losing it. If I don't see it here in a sec, I'll just continue without it. I'm not seeing it as I just take a quick scroll through. So, Serration and Split Chamber for your multi-shot. Taking a look at the stats, it looks critical, so we're giving that crit chance and crit damage. And then from there, it is essentially up to you what else you put on for this kind of primary. You'll put your elementals, you can get more status, you can do whatever it is you want to put on from this point. Looking at the shotgun, you're essentially in the same situation. Put on your pure damage, which Point Blank, this replaces Serration. From the other, you're going to put on any multi-shot mods that you have, which I don't use shotguns that much, so I'm not 100% sure which the names of those are. Hell's Chamber, there it is. You're going to put your multi-shot mods on. There you go, you can take a look. 7% crit. No thanks. We're looking at a 38%, normally 20% status. So 20% versus 7%. definitely going to go with that status. So that's where you're going to come in and get your status mods. I hate that shotgun uses completely different mods. Here's the one for cold. Here's the one for cold. Now, again, personally, I'd use electric and toxin. But, you know, this is just giving you the idea. Damage, multi-shot. Take a look at stats. It's a status weapon. We're going to use our dual stat elementals here to get the status, and you'd put another one here. Once again, I'd use toxic and electric to get the corrosive. And then from there, it's up to you if you have any more damage you want to put in there, or if there's any other multi-shot mods that come out. Anything to increase status, whatever. All of that then becomes up to you. Secondaries. First thing you're going to put on every single time is your Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, and Lethal Torrent. Now, because this is a secondary, we do have 3, because we have our pure damage, our multi-shot, and this will give us more multi-shot. And fire rate, you can't really complain. So in this case, we're looking at only 6% status, and that's with the multi-shot. Normally at 2% with a 2% crit. Now, see, that's not very good. Not very good at all. So in this case, since status is horrible, crit is horrible, we're going to jump right into the elementals. So you're going to get your... I hate that the names are all different. You could just search for the tox. You put toxic in... You put your 90% elementals in, because you're not going for crit, you're not going for status. And since this is puncture, you can go ahead and take a look at puncture mods such as bore. Now, you're not going to be able to have bore if you're just starting out, because that is a fairly expensive mod, I want to say. Now, I say fairly expensive because with new players, that is going to be pretty expensive. And you may not want to put in that amount of plat for bore. But for this example, we're just going to go ahead and put bore in because it does increase puncture. It is mostly a puncture weapon. Alright, convulsion is what it is. So there's our 90%. And... pathogen rounds. There's our other 90% mod. Boom. Boom. We're just going for straight damage, ignoring status, and ignoring crit. Now, if you don't have bore, you can go ahead and use things like Gunslinger. If you can't get that extra damage, you can get higher fire rate to kind of make up for that. With things like Gunslinger and Anemic Agility, for example. And then, of course, you have another one which you can put more damage in there, which if you want another elemental, make sure you have it this way. And then you put your heat, which again, preferably is going to be your prime. Boom. There you go. You're at a 22,000 burst. Now, if you didn't have something like Gunslinger and you had 4, look at that. Go ahead and drop the anemic agility, put Gunslinger back in. Boom, 20,000. So by doing it the other way and not using bore, you not only save yourself a little bit of plat, but you also get a higher DPS output. So having that isn't necessarily there, but with secondaries, speed can help if you don't have the damage mods to put out. So you're going to put on Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, and Lethal Torrent. Go ahead and clock these out. Whoops. actually one I wanted to keep. And then we can take a look at your melee weapons first up. Pressure point. And your stance. And then that's essentially all you can get because you don't know if you're going to go for, if you need more speed or if you're going to build for crit or what. So these are essentially how you're going to start your stats. Start building your weapons. I'll probably put a chunk of this out. But here we go. Shotguns, you're going to start with your point blank. Primed if you have it. Hell's Chamber for that multi-shot. Take a look. 38% status. 7% crit. Build for status. Get your stat elementals. Here. Boom. You're going to be using these. 2 of these because you're going to get that status up. And then whatever damage you want to put in. Rifles and bows, you're going to start with your serration and split chamber. Then you can turn around and take a look. 35%, 26%, 2.0. You can build for crit, you can build for status, or you can do a combo of crit and status together. That is going to be up to you. You're going to do crit, you're going to throw in your point strike and vital sense right off the bat. And then if you want status, you can put in your dual stat elementals. And then that'll leave you 2 empty spaces with whatever you want to fill that with for more damage. Or, in this case, of a bow, I'd suggest putting speed trigger in, which will leave you with 1 more space. That way you can shoot faster. And then, especially with the Rock to Ceranos, you want things like speed trigger. Throw that in, you're at 0.147. You're going to be shooting around 7 per second. That's going to be insane speed if you got enemies running at you. Secondaries, you're going to start with Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, Lethal Torrent. Then you can take a look at your stats. In this case, crit and status are so low, neither are worth building for, so just build for pure damage. So 90% elementals, and anything that's going to boost whatever your main stat is here. In this case, it is puncture. Primaries, you're going to start with your stance. You're going to throw a pressure point on there. Again, primed if you have it. And then you can take a look. 15% status, 15% critical. You could build it either way. Or you could build for just one of them specifically. Now, keep in mind, status, it does count with things like slash, puncture, and impact procs. Slash is going to cause them to bleed out, so you might want to go for both or go for just critical in this situation. And with melee weapons, Blood Rush can turn any weapon into a crit weapon when it comes to melee weapons. I hope that helps and it wasn't too confusing. I'll try and put little notes on the screen as going through this, possibly cut some of this out. Oh dear God, it's at 40 minutes. Hurry up and wrap this up. Take care. Have yourself a good one. Hopefully this helps. Leave a comment down below. If you have any other video ideas, go ahead and let me know. Comment in the description. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Dislike if you didn't. Hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that bell so you can get notified every time we get a new video out. Later.